Hello everyone, today I wanted to explore, is tourism bad for national parks? So national parks are a fun way to enjoy nature and explore the wild. And more than 4 million people visited Yellowstone in 2016 alone, which is around a 20% increase from 2014. So more and more people are visiting the parks, and they want to reconnect with nature, so this is a good thing. But the more people that come to the parks, the more problems will arise from it. Things like trash and pollution to traffic incidences are all on the rise. But so this issue is important because the harm is mostly unintentional. People want to come to the parks to enjoy it, not hurt it. It's important to find the balance between the tourism and conservation. And learning about the issues can create new ways of interacting within the parks. My name is Lauren Stout, and I am a student at Del Tech, studying biology. Some key points I want to discuss today is the effects of pollution and littering in parks to the interactions between the guests and the wildlife, and traffic and other disturbances in the park caused by tourists. So pollution and littering is becoming a huge issue within the parks. They found recently with air pollution that 33 of the largest parks have just as high ozone concentrations than the 20 largest cities in the US. And so air pollution is a big deal. That's caused by cars and campfires. And the more people that come, the more ozone that's emitted. There's also things like noise pollution. People like at the campsites making a lot of noise, walking the trails, disturbing the animals, activities, and trash is a major issue. A lot of the trash left by campsites can easily hurt animals and just ruin the scenery for everyone. And it's really costly to remove the trash. And they have to remove it because if animals get into it, they'll become too dependent on humans and they'll start rummaging and harassing the tourists, which becomes a major issue because the animals have to be dealt with, like being euthanized or removed. So disturbances in parks are a big issue too. Things like cars or taking things from the park or activities within the park all create disturbances. Cars are a big issue because they actually really hurt the animals. In a place called Jackson Hole in 2015, 377 animals were killed near the highways near the parks. And the more tourism, the more cars are coming, the more they're going to get hit and hurt. Other disturbances include hiking through trails or skiing. This scares away the animals from their normal routines. They don't want to be around people necessarily. So it's just important to be mindful of where you go in the parks can scare the animals away. And yeah, also things like taking seeds or plants from the parks can affect the ecosystem. It's very delicate. So if you take a pine cone, it's preventing new growth from happening. Also, you can bring invasive species into the parks. If you're traveling from all over the world, you don't know what you're carrying, what microorganisms you're carrying on you, and they could be released into the park, which can affect the native species. And also, again, with hiking, if you go off the trail and more people go off the trail, you're preventing the growth from happening, which can affect the plants around it. So just the smallest of activities can affect the ecosystem in the parks. Interactions between people and animals. As more and more tourists come, the more people will interact with the animals, which isn't always good. You think feeding a squirrel is harmless until the squirrel gets too dependent and starts harassing people for the food. And this becomes more of an issue when things like bears are getting around trash or being fed. They can become very aggressive towards people and harass them to the point where they have to be euthanized. Or they can leave the parks and head toward towns and get into the trash in towns and have to be euthanized. So this negatively affects the animals when you're feeding them. They become too dependent and they lose their fear of people. Also, people want to get a cool selfie with the animals, especially with bison who look like docile cows. They think it's harmless. But bison are actually more aggressive than bears, and when you get close, especially to take a picture, they will most likely charge at you. They attack more people than in Yellowstone. Bison attack more people than bears. In 2015, bison injured 5 people in Yellowstone, and I believe already in 2018, 2 people were attacked. And the more hiking you go, the more top predators you'll run into, and the increasing tourism is just going to lead to more and more attacks. So it's important to learn the balance and how to interact with the animals within the parks. So national parks are a good thing. They can lead to some negative impacts, but the purpose is beneficial for education, conservation, and recreation. I'm not arguing that. It just has to be done in a more sustainable way. Maybe like creating monorails or overpasses for safer viewing with the animals, keeping a safer distance. Or maybe having shuttle buses instead of general traffic, trying to decrease the number of cars going into and out of parks. Also, people need to be given a proper education about the environments they're going into so they know how to interact, knowing how to deal with a bear attack versus a cougar attack, different stuff like that, so they know they're safe when they enter the parks. So, in conclusion, national parks are necessary and fun to visit. I'm not saying don't go visit the national parks. They provide an escape from civilization and offer breathtaking views. They teach people about the world around us and what we share in this world with. And most people aren't aware of the effects they have. I'm hoping to bring more awareness to the effects that you have when you visit the parks. And the activities have some unforeseen consequences sometimes. So learning about how pollution affects the parks or how much it costs for trash removal can keep people more mindful about their visits and how they interact. And so national parks are not bad altogether, but changes do need to be made to make it more sustainable. So maybe instead of cars, we use monorails or shuttle buses. All in all, national parks create opportunities for wildlife and people alike, and it's important to protect them. I hope you guys all have a nice day.